Zardoz speaks to you. YouTube is cancer.
I am, of course, joking. Well, not about the cancer. Today I'm talking about Zardoz, the 1974 film from John Boorman, who previously directed Deliverance and Hell in the Pacific. Zardoz is a weird film, for many reasons, not least of which is that it's both obscure but also very well known. It's often referenced in different things, and I feel that Zardoz is something that people know without knowing the name of, or they've seen clips of, or even just stills. If you've ever seen a still from it, you probably will remember it, especially when I show you. This is the film where Sean Connery spends the entire 106 minutes walking around in a jockstrap. Take a look. My, sure. Zardoz is the second film Connery did after quitting Bond, and I guess he just wanted to laugh. But when I watched Zardoz for the first time, I was really surprised. I was expecting a schlocky B-movie, and it is that in parts, but it's so much more. Just take a look at the beginning.
Zardoz speaks to you, his chosen ones. You have been raised up from brutality to kill the brutals who multiply and are legion. To this end, Zardoz, your god, gave you the gift of the gun. The gun is good.
The gun is good!
The penis is evil. The penis shoots seeds and makes new life to poison the earth with a plague of men, as once it was. But the gun shoots death and purifies the earth of the filth of brutals. Go forth and kill. Zardoz has spoken.
Even if you don't like it, you've got to admit that the beginning is intriguing. I mean, you've got the big stone head, you've got the gentleman in the red PVC bandoliers, you've got the papier-mâché helmets of the big stone head. There's just so many questions. So what is this film about? Well, Connery, along with everybody else wearing red PVC bandoliers, believes that Zardoz is a god, and you would, wouldn't you? And follows its instructions to kill anybody wearing clothes. Of course, Zardoz isn't a god, and it's really controlled by a group called the Immortals, who, as their name suggests, can't die, or when they do die, from combine harvester accidents or being thrown from giant stone heads, are regenerated. And Sean Connery, being a wily one, decides to sneak into Zardoz, which takes him back to where the Immortals live, which is essentially a big plastic bubble. And there he gets into all sorts of mischief. Now, as with everything, I'm not really reviewing these films, I'm just exploring them, but I will say that I think that Zardoz's ideas are better than its story. Zardoz has some great ideas, and I initially thought that it was based on a book. People would say something, or they'd refer to some sort of technology just with one sentence, and I'd think, oh, well, that must be a chapter that they've gotten rid of and just put a sentence here to refer to. But not at all, it's a completely original script, and I guess probably the first version was about 300 pages, because it does seem to be quite condensed. So that means that you've got to watch quite closely at all times if you're going to get everything. But I like that. It treats the audience as adults and it doesn't spoon-feed them. It tackles all sorts of thought-provoking issues like death and immortality and how boring life really is, but I think it does so with its tongue in its cheek at times. I mean, it does have Sean Connery going around in a jockstrap. But I can see how some people could find this film pretentious, and it certainly is esoteric. And on top of that, it's quite dated. I mean, it really does look like a film of the 70s. One thing I wanted to show you as well was, even though earlier I showed you the beginning, that's not the very first thing you see. The first thing you see, I think, is probably one of the worst ways you could open your movie, because to the casual viewer, it's just such a turn-off. If I was flicking through the TV one night and I saw this come on, I would just... well, I wouldn't watch it. Take a look.
I am Arthur Frayne, and I am Zardoz. I have lived 300 years, and I long to die, but death is no longer possible. I am immortal. I present now my story, full of mystery and intrigue, rich in irony, and most satirical. It is set deep in a possible future, so none of these events have yet occurred. But they may. Be warned, lest you end as I. In this tale, I am a fake god by occupation, and a magician by inclination. Merlin is my hero. I am the puppet master.
What is this, Baron Munchausen? Did they give him a day's notice to grow a beard? Why would this happen? This story is full of intrigue and is sure to annoy. And also, I'm wearing a towel on my head. And you know, as interesting as Zardoz is, there's all these little bits in the film which kind of make me feel, ugh.
He must be cast out. He is no longer one with us.
Renegade, cast him out.
I mean, look at this guy's clothes.
But the suffering.
That is something a £300 bodybuilder would struggle to pull off. And that's really one of my main criticisms of this film. Too much nipple. Really, too much nipple. Too much. Too much nipple, Boorman. What I really would like is your guys' opinion on where the name Zardoz comes from. Because we see in the film that Sean Connery goes into a library, he learns to read, and he finds the book The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz is, in part, I guess, about a magical head who's really operated by a normal human being, in order to deceive people into doing what he wants them to do. So Sean Connery reads this book and he thinks, oh, that's Zardoz. And then he looks at the title.
The Wizard of Oz. Zardoz.
You know, I'm actually writing a novel, and it's hugely influenced by H.H. Kirst's The Night of the Generals. So, as a reference to it, I've named one of my characters Tenorals. So Zardoz of Oz is a bit hit and miss, but I kind of like it because I feel like Boorman knows that too. He kind of ums and ahs his way through the commentary and says, I do that differently and I wish we had more money. And that's exactly what I feel about Zardoz. I think it would have been much better if instead of being made on £1 million, it was made on 10 million. I suppose you could say that about many films though, couldn't you? I think it's one of those films that's good to say that you've seen at least once. I mean, it is hugely influential. But you know, what I really do like about Zardoz is, even though it does have a kind of terrible beginning, it also has a fantastic ending. I don't think showing you the end of Zardoz would necessarily spoil the movie for you, but it is the end of the film, so there's your spoiler warning. Alright guys, well thanks for joining me, and why wouldn't you give me a nice big thumbs up?
Zardoz.